Good morning and welcome to my kitchen. Tracy here. Today we are going to be making some Donair egg rolls. I'm going to make these ahead so we can have them for appetizers over Christmas time. So this is kind of a Halifax, spin on a Halifax classic. We love our Donairs here. It's a whipped ground meat, baked in a loaf, thin sliced, and served with a sweet garlic sauce and usually onions and tomatoes. So usually serve it with pita. I'm going to be doing it in an egg roll, so it's appetizer style. I'm going to be ignoring my dog that's whining. Does anyone else have a border collie? It's pouring rain, so I told him we can't walk until 11 o'clock, which is terrible news. I have some beautiful lean ground beef grown right here in Nova Scotia by my brother-in-law. So I have 2 pounds of that. For spices, we are going to be adding, once again, this is homegrown by me, garlic powder, oregano from the garden. We have some cayenne pepper, salt, pepper, and paprika. So what I'm going to make is a Donair loaf. So basically, we're going to whip up our beef and add some spices. And you're going to make it so that it makes a really dense loaf when you bake it. We're going to bake it in some bread pans and then thin slice it for our egg rolls. So I'll bring the camera over here. We'll show you what we got going on in the mixer. Now you can do this by hand. You don't need a mixer. However, it's a lot faster with a mixer, and I have a mixer, so I'm going to use it. So we're going to put the 2 pounds of beef in. And we're going to get some seasoning going. So I just did 2 teaspoons of salt. We're going to do 2 teaspoons of paprika. This is just regular old paprika. 2 teaspoons of regular old ground black pepper. Now this is two pounds of meat. I don't typically measure my seasonings, but we're something like this where I'm making a whole loaf of it. I'm going to put a tablespoon of garlic in, and that is strong garlic. Now, this I just air dry, so I'm just going to put in about 2 teaspoons of oregano. I just want to crunch it up a little bit. Some of these are large leaves. Oh, it smells good. And then I'm going to do probably half a teaspoon of the cayenne. This is for children, so I'd rather underspice than overspice. Now I'm going to mix this up. I'm going to end up adding a binder in. Now if I was doing, can you even see me? If I was doing a meatloaf, usually my binder would be breadcrumbs. This is going to be a really dense loaf, so instead of using breadcrumbs, I'm going to use flour, and I'm going to use about 2 tablespoons, so about a tablespoon per pound of ground beef. However, before I add that binder in, I'm going to get these fats warmed up and mixed, get all those spices mixed in, and it's going to really start forming that paste. Now, if I was doing this by hand, it might take maybe 20 minutes, but with the mixer, I'm going to say 5 to 10. I'm going to put it on low for 5 and see how it looks. This is very lean. I'm actually going to grab a little bit of lard that I have rendered and add a little bit of lard in here. Normally you wouldn't need to do that, but this is such lean ground beef that I'm going to need just a little bit of something to add a little bit of fat. All right, that's about 5 minutes. See how everything is really broken down in there. Now I did end up going in and putting in a tablespoon of cold water, just where this is so lean, and I'm going to add about a tablespoon of flour and give it another little mix. All right, so I am finished mixing. This is the consistency I'm looking for. All that fat is broken in, everything is well mixed, and it's forming like a paste. So I'll scrape down these sides to get all of the little bits. And what I ended up doing was for 3 minutes, I mixed it on low, just the stir mode, and just to get everything incorporated. And then I added my flour, and then I bumped it up to a medium speed. I believe I was on about a 5 for another 3 minutes. So because I can't taste this because it's raw meat, I'm just going to take a little bit there, that little patty there, and I'm going to just fry it up for a taste before I add it to my loaf pan. All right, so there's my little tiny burger I made. I'm just going to fry this up so I can get a taste of the seasoning. Please excuse the mess on my stove. I'm also cooking roast for supper at the same time. So there it is. Did shrink a little bit there, but I'm just going to give it a little cut in half here to double check that it's cooked and give it a taste. Very happy with the seasoning blend. There's my little piece that I'm eating, and time to bake it up. Not only did we whip it, we're going to get all those air pockets out of there. So really press it down into your pan. Don't be afraid to tell it who does the dishes around here. Now you don't have to use beef. Traditionally these are done with lamb. You could do pork. Really nice would be a mixture. But we have this beautiful ground beef. And I could have went with a little more cayenne, but where the kids will be eating this as well, I'm much more of the camp to make it a little less spicy for them, and then we can always add spice after for the grown-ups. But it is hard to take out spice. So even though this is all smushed in, yes, I know I used my hands, we're really gonna get those air bubbles out of there. All right, so there is our meat in our loaf pan, and we're gonna cook this for about an hour. You could do it in like a, what is that called? Bain-marie water bath, but I'm just gonna cook it like this. I think it's fine. It might dry out on top a little bit, but we'll keep an eye on it. All right, I'll bring her back when she's all cooked and cooled off. All right, so we're gonna make our Donair sauce while we are waiting for the meat to cook. The sauce is gonna go directly in the egg rolls, which are gonna be frozen. And then this will have no problem keeping in the fridge for a few days. We'll use it when we deep fry them for appetizers later on this week. So, super, super simple sauce. You're gonna put in evaporated milk. I'm gonna put about another, maybe not quite a tablespoon of garlic powder. Once again, this is our homegrown garlic, dehydrated. As you can see, it is a little bit chunky, but it'll all work out. Now, you can use just sweetened condensed milk, but sweetened condensed milk costs more, so I just use the evaporated milk, and I add some sugar. A lot of recipes I see call for 3/4 cup of sugar. I'm gonna put half a cup. I find that is plenty. Now, the last thing that's gonna go in is just some plain old white vinegar. Gonna be 1/3 cup for this much, but I'm gonna give this a mix up first before I put that in. So this evaporated milk was room temperature, so it is dissolving that sugar no problem. So yeah, just to get a good mix up of that sugar. Now, there's 2 ways to do this. You can continually mix and drizzle in your vinegar, but I find I have more of a chance of breaking my sauce, so separating it. What I do As I get all that sugar dissolved so there's nothing more on the bottom there. And I just drizzle in, but I stop stirring. Then I give it one little stir. And I don't touch it. I'm going to stick that right in the fridge and let it thicken up. All right, so here she is. Just took my Donair loaf out. This was in for a little over an hour at 375. It's very cooked. I went up to 200. And I just let this rest for about 10 minutes. I'm going to give a slice. I want to give another taste before I commit to slicing up the whole thing. And then I'm probably just going to let it cool down in the fridge before I slice the whole thing for my egg rolls. So you can slice this very, very thin. You could even potentially put it on the slicer. See how it's kind of like almost gray? You actually want it to look like that. It's so good. Yeah, the taste is right where I want it to be. So I'm going to let this cool down quite a bit, and I'm going to slice it just about as thin as I can with a serrated knife. Okay, here it is all sliced up. It's a good example. So it's quite thin. And this is still quite hot, so I'm just going to put it in a little Tupperware container to cool down in the fridge. So I just grabbed you to show you this out of the fridge. This is our Donair sauce we made earlier. So I just took and just mixed it up very lightly. And as you can see, it is quite thick. And this is exactly what we're looking for. So that is perfect as far as I'm concerned. All right. And when I'll bring you back, we'll be assembling. All right. So it's a couple hours later. We just got back from our walk. It's going to be using these ones, the 1 pound size. I bought 2 packages. I'm not sure how many I'll use. I just started rolling these. So this is my mixture. It's my meat, half a block of Saputo mozzarella cheese, about 2/3 of my Donair sauce, and half of an onion diced up. You see that okay? So I'm putting about a 1/4 cup in each of these egg roll wrappers and then doing egg wash on the outside. Now I'm by no means an expert at making egg rolls. I just follow the instructions on the package. So 1/4 cup. To go a little bit faster, doing 4 at once. Just as an experiment, one we did from frozen and one we did from thawed. So the ones from frozen we had firing twice. See how they look, kind of open. Oh, doesn't that look good?
So good.
You want to try a bite, buddy?
What's this called?
That's the Donair. won't film me eating. Oh, a little bit messy. That's really good. I think we'll have to thaw them before we cook. So this made 35 egg rolls altogether. And the rest of them I just rolled and froze and just added them to a freezer bag. Have a great day and we'll see you next time. Bye now.